and welcome to this edition of the MoxiTalk. I'm glad you could join us for about 30-ish minutes of your busy day. Right off the bat, I think we can all admit that quarters are passing faster than ever, and the idea of a busy and slow season in real estate is gone. I want to introduce a couple people who know a thing or two about finishing strong and the ever-changing state of seasonality. First off, my name is CJ Ryan. I'm one of the inside sales managers here at MoxiWorks. I came here after playing a few years of college football at Arizona State University. Next, another athlete on the team, Mr. Nick Van Valkenburg, our National Director of Business Development. He is a veteran Moxian and spent almost a decade in the real estate software world. He came here after spending some time playing some rugby in Australia. Last but not least, our fearless leader, our CEO, Mr. York Bauer. He is a veteran of the tech industry with over 35 years in the field. And since 2012, he has led the growth of MoxiWorks into a platform used by over 400,000 agents in the US and Canada. Though he is not a traditional athlete like Nick and I, he definitely knows the value of finishing strong because he has been involved in motorsports for a very long time, having even co-sponsored a racing team which competed at the 24 Hours of Daytona. Nick, York, how's everything going today, guys?
Everything's going great, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful to be here. And while I may not know how many touchdowns it takes to win a hockey game, I'm hoping I can contribute at least a little something.
Yeah, I definitely played rugby in Australia, and I'll save everybody my subpar Australian accents. We'll pass on that. Today, so we're going to be talking about kind of the seasonality, and historically, real estate's really been a couple seasons. So like spring, summer seasons have been very hot in the industry. We've sold on average about 5 million homes. That's been creeping up in the past couple of years, and it just looks like the season is going. We're seeing a lot of comparisons with sports. I think on the surface, when you're looking at a sports team, doesn't matter if it's hockey, basketball, race car driving, it looks like they're just there for the moment. But what actually ends up happening is they are there all season. They're recruiting. They've got their gyms or their systems in place, and they're working with their athletes. The athletes are constantly training. They're working to become better versions of themselves, very similar to agents working on being better at your listing presentations and your dialogues and your outreach. And really what happens is the brokers that coach, the broker's the GM of the brokerage. And what they're doing is providing the gym, providing the equipment, the office, the tools, all the pieces that make it so that you can succeed. And then ultimately coming up with the playbook. And we'll kind of get into what that means. How is a coach or how is a broker providing those systems? And CJ, I wanted to lean on you a little bit because, when you're playing to win versus not playing to lose, you come from a background from Arizona State playing football. And you were telling me a story about, I'll let you tell it, but it was the first season you came in versus the second season you were there and kind of the difference with a new coach and new systems.
Yeah, so the first season I was there, we did have an old coach, we'll refer to him as, and he came in and he had been at a couple different universities before. He had his fair share of issues. And so after a few years at ASU, he ended up actually getting fired. Now we bring in a new coach and he brings in a new system, which had been actually tried and true at probably about 4 or 5 different universities, and takes us from a team that gets blown out by 40 in a bowl game the year before to a team that not only goes on to not have a penalty in the first 8 games of a 12-game season, but we also go all the way through to win a bowl game by about 40. And I think that really shows the strength of sticking to a tried and true playbook and really working in a system and just keeping that system the same while just potentially changing the players and the pieces.
And York, you're probably seeing a correlation between that, what we do, and then what brokers are doing on a daily basis.
No question. And I think, I joke around about not being an athlete, and I'm not. I mean, I certainly tip my hat to you guys for your accomplishments there. But what I would say is whether it's athletic performance or in motorsports, the concepts you guys are talking about are so true. It really is a forever season. the concept of seasonality really doesn't exist, because you're right. We're just looking at the games or whatever's visible, but it's in fact a year-long process. And I would argue that real estate has morphed itself in the last 24 months into that same state. Part of that's pandemic, but another key piece of it is all the technology and the billions that are being poured into all these alternative models. I mean, I think most of us now in real estate are actually competing against an algorithm. You know, we hear about, you know, Zillow and the various iBuying and other models that are out there. You know, computers don't sleep, algorithms don't sleep. So it's important for us as an industry to not lose our relationship basis, but understand that there is no more off season. And the final comment I'll make, and you guys know more about this athletically than I do, but I will tell you, and it's true in technology. Technology's been this way for my entire now almost 40-year career, which is there is also no off season, and moreover, you can't play not to lose. You have to play to win every single day, or you're going to get run over by your competitors that are constantly nipping at your heels. And I think that's the mindset change that we're going to talk about today, because I think that's beset the real estate market now as well.
Absolutely. And the problem is algorithms don't sleep, and unfortunately we have to sleep. We don't have a choice. I remember when I was in college during finals week, I tried not to sleep and stay up, but that just wasn't an option. And when we're talking about seasonality, like, we understand, you know, agents come into this business, you know, some of them see a lot of freedom. They see, oh, now I get to go to my kids' sporting events. I get to drop my kids off at school. I'm not going to miss this. I'm going to be able to do that. But the reality is you're working all the time. You're working 24 hours a day. You might have to go to a listing. You may have to go to a walkthrough or an inspection the day after Christmas or the day after a holiday. And that's very similar to an athlete. CJ, you were telling me about a bowl game that you had to go to. What was it, the day after Thanksgiving or something like that? When you'd rather sit in your socks and hang out with your family, now you're over flying, getting ready to play. Agents are doing the exact same thing. I think if you were a seasonal business, you'd be something like a pumpkin farmer, where you're planting your seeds one part of the year, you're waiting for your harvest to grow, and you're just hoping that October, November season, you're able to sell enough pumpkins where you can live a happy life the rest of the year.
Yeah, and if you look at our home sales predictor, the graph that's on the screen there, which by the way is freely available to everybody, you can go to MoxiTalk.com and find that. We're seeing that more and more. The dips that used to happen, the slow periods that used to happen, they're still there. It's not a flat line, but everything's gotten compressed, and we don't see in the data anything telling us that that's going to abate, that that's going to change. And I think the technology driving it from these quote unquote disruptors is a key piece of that. And speaking of disruptors, I think, Nick, you've got some examples of some athletic disruptors here.
Yeah, talking about hard work beats talent. I think most of the folks watching this may recognize both of these individuals, exceptional basketball players, exceptional athletes. Some folks maybe sit in their armchairs on any given day watching, going, well, you know, they're just real talented. But the fact is, they are talented, but they also put in tremendous hard work. Two stories that really stick out to me. Kobe Bryant, back in 2013, was playing a game. He had 3 minutes left in the game. They were down by 2. He did a little juke move like he normally does, felt a little pop, a little burning sensation in the back of his ankle, and thought, I hope this isn't what it is. And instead of waving the white flag and saying, hey, coach, I think I might have hurt myself, I need to sit out. In fact, what he did is he walks over, I say walk over, he humbles over to the free throw line, shoots 2 free throws, sinks both of them, then walks off the court. They end up winning the game by 2, and that just shows perseverance. I'm sure he's got a multitude of other stories of what he's done. And you've got Michael Jordan, on the other hand, arguably one of the best basketball players of all time. If you're not familiar with the flu game, he's in game 5 against the Utah Jazz in 1997. He wakes up in the morning, he's got flu-like symptoms. Very easily could have been like, hey, coach, just not feeling good. I don't know that I can provide what I can do for the team today. I think you guys should go on without me. Just the opposite of that. He goes, he plays, scores 38 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals, which to me is an astounding game. I could do that without the flu. They actually go on, they end up winning that game, and they end up winning the series and ultimately winning the championship. So somebody that is talented, throwing in the hard work, shows grit. I know you like that word, York. And now they're winning championships. And so this is what we've got to do in the real estate industry. There's days where we wake up, there's days where I wake up and I think, you know, I just don't know if I got it in me today, but you persevere, you push through. And luckily, we've got a really good playbook here at MoxiWorks, and I think you're going to let us know a little bit about what a playbook is.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm a huge fan of the concept that hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. I know that's a quote out there, and I couldn't agree more. And I think to your point, grit is something we talk a lot about at Moxie, as you guys know. It's the persistence and passion toward achieving long-term goals. And I think persistence is a way of life. It's a daily thing, to your point. It's not something that you only exhibit when it's finals week or what have you. It's something that you have to work on every day. But you also have to have, I think, a system. CJ, you talked about having a system in athletics, and I feel like sales is no different. I come from a long career in selling and marketing and the use of technology to support sales and marketing, not only in real estate, but really across every industry. And I've seen that formula work so well, which is that sales success equals training plus systems plus coaching. Training plus systems plus coaching. It's a three-legged stool. If you have only one or two of those, you're not going to succeed. And I think we'll talk about each of these, but training is obvious. A lot of us focus on training in the brokerage industry. What I don't think we do a good job is correlating the systems to support the training. That's technology. It helps reinforce the training daily, and also provides the grist for the mill for coaching, which we expect our managing brokers to do. And Nick, I know you work with a lot of customers on this particular topic, so give us your thoughts there.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite coaches, Lou Holtz, had a quote one time saying, "It's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it." So if we're talking about an industry that's not taking a break, you're pushing on, you're moving every day, every week, every month, every quarter throughout the year, how are you going to be able to do that with sanity and also have those systems and training? So we have a kind of a secret playbook here at MoxiWorks. We have a manager dashboard, which allows you as the broker, as the individual that's running an office, to take a look and see what's going on in that office, so that I can sit in the skybox, if you will, and I can watch the game being played, and I can see, hey, this player doesn't seem to be doing what I need them to do, or they seem to be struggling. I think I can help them out. Let me call them and see how we can work together. So this is going to be like your ultimate playbook, and you can see, hey, we are winning this game, but here's some lagging indicators that I may want to focus on so that I can keep us winning the game. Because once you win, it's easy to celebrate, but you need to be able to keep pushing on so you can continue to dominate your market.
Yeah, that's right. And I think one of the myths in sales particularly is, I'm experienced. I'm a top producer. I don't need any training. But you guys know from the athletic world, 100% of athletes, even at the very tippy top of their game, have training. It's a fundamental part of what they do. In fact, CJ, do you want to talk maybe about that in your experience?
Of course. And I mean, even if we can take it one step beyond my experience, we all know what Tom Brady does. We all know how well Tom Brady has led teams in these last few years. All of his Super Bowls, I think he has 6 at this point in time. They don't lie. And he is in his early 40s at this point in time. And the reason why he's able to play and why he's been able to play since 2000 is because of the fact that he stays consistent on that training. He might be the best quarterback in the world right now. He might be one of the best football players to ever play. But in the end, if he didn't do that training every day, every minute, every year, there's no way that he would have ascended to the point that he's at right now.
Yeah. You talk about Tom Brady winning Super Bowls and having great games. And as you're talking, I can see some very shiny objects on your hands. What do you got going on there?
Yes, sir. So from the college story, this is actually my bull ring that I won with my first team. I was very, very lucky. We went and played Navy in the craft fight against Hunger Bowl. So as Nick was talking about with the story about Christmas, that actually was when I tore my ACL and still had to go to my bowl game and miss Christmas with my family. On the other hand, this is actually a state championship ring from when I had the opportunity to coach after I went on and played my career. And so I was very, very lucky to get to coach a great group of kids. And they won state 3 times out of 4 years, and this was the first one.
So you're no stranger to systems and winning organizations.
Oh, yeah.
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, and so let's talk systems, and congrats again on that, CJ. I think, having been a lifelong technologist, I feel like one of the most underexploited opportunities in sales, not just in real estate, but in any sales, is truly the use of systems to support the things that we talk about all the time in training. And in particular, I'll give you a fact. CRM we're a producer of CRM, as many of you know, but CRM outside of real estate is also poorly used because it's not integrated with the training. In fact, fun fact is Salesforce.com that everybody thinks is just this magical thing. Usage in sales is about 30% consistently. And it's because the training and the systems aren't done together, and there isn't a culture of using the systems on a daily basis to support the training. One of the things, we've all been to sales trainings, so even if you're not an athlete out there, I'm not, we've all been to sales trainings, and we feel like we could just conquer the world when we come out of these. It's a couple, 3 days, you feel energized, you feel like you have the tools, you come back to your world, you put the binders on the shelf, and 30 days later, you're back to your old behaviors. Why? Because the systems aren't there every day as you log in, because we all, especially in a post-pandemic where we're all logging into something in our daily lives. But if we're not using the right systems, and if they aren't tied to the training, it doesn't reinforce what we've learned, and it goes away again, which is also why, by the way, when we do this in real estate, we have the latest Messiah. We got to have the latest training at the kickoff every year, because somehow last year's training didn't work. Well, it wasn't probably the training, it was the reinforcement.
Well, a bigger deal or a bigger issue with the systems is, what if your systems aren't in sync? So what if, we use that sports analogy, what if everybody's got a different ball at the game and everybody's got a different playbook and agenda? How are you going to win that match? You're probably going to have some excellence that happens. You'll probably score some goals or get some points, or however you guys are playing the game. The same thing happens in real estate. What if everybody's using a different system? I've got my own CRM. I've got a different website. I like to present with this product and not with that product. How do I coach that? Like, how do I help you get better when, as a coach, as a broker, I can't understand every system? That's all darn near impossible, right? I need to be able to understand what you're trying to do and show you how to do that, so I can make you a better athlete, so I can make you a better real estate broker.
No question, which, by the way, on a strategy level as Moxie, I want to point out, this is why for the last decade, we have had a maniacal focus on making the brokerage more profitable. That's our internal mission statement. But in that, it also says that we don't sell directly to your agent. We will only sell to you as a broker. Why? Because we believe the stuff we're just talking about here. You are the coach. You are the training facility. You are the game. And we should be arming you as the broker with the right tools to succeed with your team, i.e. the agents that you have. So I think that's an important point. And back to coaching, you talked about it, Nick, the idea of the systems also now helping with the coaching, the individual coaching of an agent. And CJ, I know you've been a coach. Maybe you can talk a bit about that and the importance of having the stats, if you will, to support a coaching conversation.
Yeah, of course. And this is the thing, is in the end, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, right? I know that that's something that York says a bunch. And if you keep on changing all of these systems all the time, you can't actually measure the effectiveness of one versus the other, right? And so that comes back into our sports analogy. If you're a football coach, or if you're a basketball coach, or if you're a soccer coach, or if you own a racing team, right? If you have a strategy in place and you keep on changing it, there's no way to figure out which strategy actually works. What ends up being the most effective thing is the thing that you find out works and you stick with. And that's why you see, again, the coaches like the Nick Sabans of the world, like the Lou Holtzes of the world, that can go out and literally just take their system, move it to different places, and they end up keeping on winning because of the fact that they can coach to the system that they've made, and that never changes.
Yeah, that's right.
Nick, do you want to add something?
Sorry, York, but you also can't just coach your top agents or your top brokers, right? You gotta coach everybody. Let's use that analogy or that story I had with Kobe, where he tore his ACL, his Achilles, and he's out the next couple games, right? He's going to be out for a little while. Luckily, it was the end of the season. You need somebody to be able to step up into that role. So if you're a broker and you lose one of your top agents, you're going to want somebody to be able to fulfill that. And so you need to make sure that you're giving everybody the appropriate coaching tools and systems.
Yeah,
keeping the momentum.
Yeah, that's right.
It's funny, CJ, you brought up Nick Saban. There's a really kind of a good story I like about Nick Saban. He's the coach of Alabama for football, and he just wins the title. So they just won the championship, and he's at a press conference I'm paraphrasing this, but a reporter goes, "Hey Nick, what are you going to do for celebrating this?" And we all know the old story of like winning the Super Bowl and going to Disney World and all of that. And his answer goes, "Celebrate. Tomorrow I got to wake up and start recruiting for next season." And that's how we need to think about, as we're winning these quarters, as we're winning as a brokerage, how are we going to continue to win? And that's not by sitting back and celebrating. It's about keeping that momentum going.
Yeah, no question about it. And I would further say that, my favorite bullet on this slide is hope is not a strategy. In other words, in your example, the coach has a recruiting philosophy, a plan, and is, plan the work the plan. And I think that's what's largely absent, to be honest, to some degree at least, in many of the organizations we see in real estate. That there's just kind of a do good work and it'll all somehow work out. But I think while that's true, and there are a lot of talented people out there, that they can all be better by implementing a system, a way of working like we've talked about here today. And the other thing I would tell you is it helps prevent emotional decision making. And I think we all sort of intuitively know that that's not a great way to make decisions, but I'll give you a great example. One of the legendary investors of all time, Warren Buffett, says, be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful. In other words, don't fall prey to the emotion of the day, and instead look at the fundamentals. And that word gets used a lot in investing. It gets used a lot in athletics. I think it should be way more used in sales. If you just stick to your plan and work the fundamentals across your entire team, Nick, to your point about not just focusing on your top producers, you won't have hope. You will have a strategy, and your success will be that much greater, not only in the great times, but in the down times, which are coming at some point, right? The market cannot possibly stay at this level forever. We don't have an anti-gravity machine, last I checked. So anyway, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that's kind of ties together what CJ was saying. You gotta choose your strategy and you gotta stick to it. And things are gonna change. I mean, that's the only thing that stays constant is change, right? So things are gonna happen. You're gonna have good days, bad days, mediocre days, but you stick to your systems. You know what you need to accomplish, and you go out and you accomplish it.
Gentlemen, first of all, it was an absolute pleasure to have you guys here. I very much appreciate all of the insights that you guys shared about the coaching, about the systems, about the training, about all of the different things that we went over today. But I think that if I'm not incorrect, we kind of were able to put to bed the thought of seasonality. We were kind of able to put the thought to bed that you can kind of float through the second half of your year, float through the back half of your year, and very much said that we have to keep the gas on all year long. But if you have any questions about anything that we went over today, please feel free to reach out. My email is on the screen, cj.ryan@moxieworks.com. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to learn with us, and we look forward to talking to you guys later.
Right on. And to quote Wade and Garth from Wade's World, game on.
That's right. Yeah, thanks, CJ, and thanks everybody out there for your time today. Look forward to talking with you soon.
Thanks for watching.